Assalamu alaikum. Today we will be discussing the first modern poet in the 20th century is W.H. Auden, born 1907, died 1973. This is his photo, definitely when he was young. See, he belongs to the 30s when he was young. The hairstyle and the way he's dressed. Anyway, before we start with his poem, here is a brief, right to the point introduction to his biography and style. He is the poet of the 30s, 1930s, which he himself described as the age of anxiety. This title, which he described the first 3 decades of the 20th century as age of anxiety due to the conflicting ideologies of Nazism, fascism, communism, war, science, industry, Spanish Civil War. Definitely he participated in the Spanish Civil War. Began 1936, ended 39, 3 years of fighting between the army led by General Franco, the church, and Italy. Germany supported them, and the Republicans, the government. Russia supported them. Anyway, this age of anxiety, as if it is the end of civilization and the beginning of a new dark age. Even imagination is neglected. Psychology crept more and more in poetry, and satire and irony is there. This is what characterizes his style. When we come to his poem, Musée des Beaux-Arts, this is the French title, but the English title is the Museum of Fine Arts. In the exam you are free to write either of them. The poem has 2 parts. The first part speaks of suffering, apathy to human suffering. Definitely apathy is the theme of the poem. The first part and the second part as well. Auden saw this problem in the 20th century as the core of all problems. He based his poem on the myth of Icarus. Icarus is a boy, son of Daedalus. Daedalus is a craftsman, a cunning maker, who is asked to make a labyrinth. If you read about Daedalus and his labyrinth, King Minos of Crete, this Greek island, asked him to make this elaborate structure, which is the labyrinth, the maze, in order to catch a monster, to hold a monster named Minotaur, half man, half bull, who is originally killed by the Athenian hero Theseus. But this craftsman Daedalus was imprisoned in a tower by the king of Crete, so as not to spread the knowledge to the public, I mean the secret of this labyrinth. In a minute you are going to see a very beautiful painting of the father and the son, and the original story, the father, they were able, both son and father, to escape this tower by making waxen wings to both of them, but he asked his son not to fly very close to the sun in order not to let the wax melt. But as you know, he was so excited, the little boy, in flying. He flew very close to the sun. The waxen wings melt, and he fell, and he died. In mythology, this Icarus is a source of inspiration to different poets, and he stands as a symbol of aspiration, ambition, enthusiasm. Odin adopted this story and manipulated this story, and the second part we're going to talk about what inspired him to use this Icarus, and changed things to suit his purpose, which is the main theme in the poem, the apathy to human suffering. In the first part, we could see Odin describes two generations of artists. The first generation, which is the old generation, we call them the aged, are old masters. They are masters of art, and they have strong faith, remembering the miraculous birth of Christ. Here is the beautiful painting of Daedalus the father and his son, falling his son. If you see his waxen wings melt, and he's about to fall into the sea. The second generation and are described by Odin as children's, and they cannot remember the martyrdom, the sacrifice, the Christ the Savior, and they are like dogs described, leading doggy life, material life. When they celebrate the New Year, the only thing they remember is the celebration, without just like children, without remembering the significance of this occasion, whereas the old generation always remember this occasion as a sacred one. Besides being described as dogs and leading doggy life, they are torturers. They torture people. Definitely Odin is referring to the hard-heartedness of rich people. who are riding a horse. A horse symbolically is a sign of chivalry, knighthood, values, generosity. But see the irony, the opposite picture of them riding horses, and they don't know the meaning of generosity, the meaning of values. The second part of the poem expresses here is the painting which inspired Odin by Bruegel. You can see the ship, the delicate ship. You can see on top the farmer turning his back to the boy. The boy is drowning, and nothing appears from only his leg. So neither the rich nor the poor, represented by the farmer, care about this boy. The water is green, which is not a healthy sign. And one thing I would like you to see is that the plowman on land, he is standing on a high place. This is ironical. High place should reflect high values, good values, but ironically he is on top. But when we come to the themes of the poem, we could see nature represented by the green water, suffering, art itself, past and present, represented by the generation gap between old masters and the children, and the myth of Icarus, which is the core of the poem. Moral message, I could recognize two main moral messages. The first one is art should have a human mission. Second, sympathy between people. This is the main 2 points behind writing Musée des Beaux-Arts by Odin. He tries to draw our attention to the importance of art in reforming people, in evaluating people, in belittling the suffering of people. Sympathy is important, and against the hateful apathy, the carelessness to the suffering of man. I wish by the end of this poem you could learn something from it, and in the coming lecture we will deal with another important modern figure. Until that time, see you.